Jigigawasan, Naga Gichini Weskuman, Gamaj Wali one, Eli would Edgy Woolgiskok, Edgy Woolgiskok, Gamajana, Nulazo Walto Multi Pun, Eli Yud, Bejipud Sidewen, Nalita Hazel Tipan, Eli Gazelmud, Naga Wolanke Yuwood, Side Nichanuk, Wejukamine, Wejigizi, Wejukamukud, Chukwabanakig, Naga Side Damaski Jinuug, Naga Guli Dinawen, Wejigizi, Wuldakutig, Naga Wejuke Manen, Side Bamausawinawug, Naga Side Geg, Bamausawig, Naga Dena, Side Geg, Bamausawig Gupon, Jiwili one, Eli Milieg, Bamalsawagan, Bemkiskok, Gamaj, Nalazwalta Multipan, Nidlea Juskamil, Willie one. I want to welcome our guests here. My name is Chris Newell. I'm a member of the Passamaquoddy tribe, which is also a member of a larger group of tribes from this region known as the Wabanaki people. That language you heard is our language, the Passamaquoddy language. I was raised by my father and my mother in Maḍayin, and I was raised with a traditional protocol for welcoming not just other Wabanaki people to our own homelands in our own particular geography, but also for welcoming indigenous people from long ways away. And I've been asked by Dartmouth College to represent our Wabanaki peoples in this way. So I wanted to start with welcoming you with our language, and that prayer that you heard there is really a thank for the day and a reminder of our place in this world, and also an ask for help, not just for Wabanaki peoples, but for all Native peoples and indigenous peoples around this world. And that we ask that in this future, that with these new ways be this way forever. What we do in our traditional way is normally you would arrive by water, and the way it would work is we would welcome you by having you stand in your canoe, and we would sing welcome songs to you. This particular welcome song is a welcome song taught to my father when he was a young person by an elder of his time. And what I tell people is that this particular rendition of a Passamaquoddy welcome song has been sung this way for at least 150 years, but it's based off a song that goes way longer, much for like 400 to 500 years long. So with that, this is a welcome song. Everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jamie Powell, and I'm the Curator of Indigenous Art at the Hood Museum. I'm also a citizen of the Osage Nation. I'd like to ask Chris and our Yolŋu delegation to join us up front here. Within many Indigenous communities, both in North America and across the globe, concepts of relationality and reciprocity are vital to the healthy functioning of our nations. When I speak of relationality, I don't simply mean how we relate to one another, but also how we relate to our homelands and to non-human beings as well. These relationships are often kinship-based and as such require that we care for one another. Inherent within these relationships is reciprocity and concepts of acknowledgement and gratitude. During this part of our program, we would like to extend a welcome to the Yolŋu delegation and express our immense gratitude to them for sharing their art, their knowledge, and their law with us through this incredible exhibition. Joining us now are leaders from Dartmouth's Native American and Indigenous student groups. Kala Harmon is the co-president of Hokupa'a. She's joined by their treasurer, Azariah Javillanar. And Annalie Johnson-Jennings is the co-president of Natives at Dartmouth. Our student leaders are now presenting gifts of sweetgrass, lei, and blankets to the delegation. As they do, I would like to share with you the significance of the blankets they are now presenting. Some of you may know that blankets are often given in Native North American communities as markers of significant life events or achievements. The blankets we're presenting to the delegation were designed by Lakota artist Deani Whitehawk. In 2015, Deani and other Native artists traveled to Yirrkala and participated in a printmaking cultural exchange program at the Buku Larnke Mulka Center. Of this experience, she said, "In various prints made by Aboriginal artists, I recognize repeated motifs that reference the Milky Way. As Lakota people, we have teachings about the Milky Way related to our origins and our journey when we return to the spiritual realm. When I asked about the Milky Way references in their work, I was amazed to hear how strikingly similar their stories are to our own. Western science now also shares similar stories through recent research that indicates that the matter that makes up our bodies originated in the stars. No matter your spiritual or religious beliefs, we are undoubtedly connected to the cosmos and to one another on our individual yet related journeys." Deani's time at Buku inspired the designs of this wool blanket. It is really special to be able to gift these blankets to the delegation in gratitude and recognition of this amazing accomplishment in the opening of this beautiful exhibition. I'll now invite Kenya Tyson, Senior Associate Provost, to provide a welcome as well.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And welcome to Dartmouth College and to the Hood Museum of Art. My name is Kenya Tyson, and I am the Senior Associate Provost here at Dartmouth College. Before delivering my remarks, I would like to offer a brief land acknowledgement. The Hood Museum of Art at Dartmouth is situated upon the ancestral and unceded lands of the Wabanaki peoples. This acknowledgement reminds us of the significant place, the continued existence of Indigenous people, and the museum and Dartmouth's commitment to building respectful relationships with those who call these lands home today. I would also like to invite you to join me in a moment of silence and remembrance for the two Dartmouth students, Joshua Watkins, 22, and Sam Galwell, 23, whose loss we are mourning this week. Thank you. And thank you for being here and for being a part of the Dartmouth community. It is an honor to welcome you all to the opening ceremony and reception for the Maɗayin, 8 Decades of Aboriginal Art from Yirrkala. This traveling exhibition was organized by the Kluge-Ruhe Aboriginal Art Collection of the University of Virginia and the Buku Mulka Center. The Hood Museum of Art is the opening venue for this monumental exhibition, and we're thrilled to have these masterful works of the Yolŋu art, knowledge and law on campus. Dartmouth College is proud to be a center of collaboration and interdisciplinary engagement, and the partnership between the Hood Museum, the Kluge-Ruhe, and Buku Learning in presenting this exhibition is a stellar example of the possibilities that emerge from meaningful collaboration. The opening of Maɗayin at Dartmouth College coincides with the 50th anniversary of Dartmouth's recommitment to its founding mission to educate Indigenous students. This project also aligns with the recent expansion of the Native American Studies program to the Native American and Indigenous Studies Department. The establishment of the Native American and Indigenous Studies Department and the inauguration of the May and John Houston Distinguished Professorship in Native American and Indigenous Studies reflects Dartmouth's growing scholarship and programming on the importance of global indigeneity. We are honored at the presence of the Yolŋu delegation, and this presentation of Maɗayin, 8 Decades of Aboriginal Bark Painting from Yirrkala, for this momentous occasion. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce John Stomberg, Virginia Rice Kelsey 1961's director of the Hood Museum of Art at Dartmouth. John?
Thank you for that, Kenya, and welcome again. We are so happy to have you here tonight. First, I want to share with you that the staff of the Hood Museum of Art is humbled and honored that the artists of these amazing paintings have entrusted us with the presentation of their work. Our sun rises and sets on the efforts of artists, and we take very seriously our duty to present their art in the most dynamic and faithful manner possible. Thank you to all the artists in this exhibition who have allowed us the privilege of sharing their art. As this museum approaches the 20th anniversary of its commitment to the art and culture of Aboriginal Australian artists, it is entirely apt that it take the form of a collaboration with the Kluge-Ruhe collection of Aboriginal Australian art at the University of Virginia. In addition to having worked on projects together in the past, as I will point out in a moment, our two institutions share similar origin stories. John Kluge, who amassed the eponymously named collection at UVA, became enthralled with Aboriginal art in 1988 when he attended the exhibition Dreamings, the Art of Aboriginal Australia. The presenter of that show was the Asia Society Galleries in New York City, significantly the final venue for this traveling exhibition. And it was at that very exhibition that Will Owen and Harvey Wagner first encountered Aboriginal Australian art. It is safe to say that that one exhibition changed the destinies of all three of them, with Kluge going on to form the core collection of the Kluge-Ruhe, and Owen and Wagner creating the collection that would come to Dartmouth in 2017. But allow me to back up just a bit. The Hood's relationship with collecting Aboriginal Australian art began around 2000, and its first exhibition, Dreaming of Country, Painting, Place, and People in Australia, was held in 2004. Since then, the museum has regularly organized projects in the area, including our first collaboration with the Kluge-Ruhe and Margot Smith, the 2006 traveling exhibition, Dreaming Their Way, Australian Aboriginal Women Artists. Then in 2012, we celebrated Harvey and Will's commitment to bequeath their magnificent collection of Aboriginal art with a show entitled Crossing Cultures that had a catalog with several guest authors, including Henry Scarrett, the Kluge-Ruhe's curator and co-organizer of this exhibition. Alas, much sooner than anyone expected or hoped, with Harvey's death in 2017, Will had predeceased him in 2015, their full collection of nearly 900 works of Aboriginal Australian art came to the Hood. And when the Hood reopened in the renovated and expanded building you see now, we featured a world of relations, an exhibition drawn entirely from the Owen and Wagner collection and curated by, you're going to guess it now, Henry Scarrett. So, when the opportunity arose to collaborate once again with Margot Smith and Henry Scarrett and the collections, the amazing collections at the Kluge-Ruhe, we were and remain wildly enthusiastic. Happily, when this offer came our way, we had recently appointed our first curator of Indigenous art, Dr. Jamie Powell, who you've just heard from. An expert in Native American art and culture, Jamie was eager to expand her remit to include Aboriginal Australian art and culture. Jamie took over the project from the Hood side and has worked tirelessly for years to bring about our presentation. Thank you, Jamie, for your for all your energy, wisdom, and the care that you have brought to this project. I also want to thank the amazing team responsible for the installation. It's beautiful, isn't it? In addition to the members of the Kluge-Ruhe staff who will soon be noticed, I just wanted to point out that our head of exhibitions, Nikki Gilbert, our preparators, Sue Achenbach, Matt Oates, and Lori Kowar, have all done an extraordinary job with this show. Truly, though, every single member of the Hood Museum of Art staff has had a hand in this show, and I want to thank you all for all your time and enthusiasm and hard work on this project. Finally, we are grateful to the major supporters of the exhibition's presentation here at Dartmouth, namely the Charles Gilman Family Endowment, the Owen and Wagner Collection of Aboriginal Australian Art Endowment Fund, and the Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation. Believe me when I effuse that the Hood Museum of Art is beyond proud and to welcome you to the opening of Maɗayin, 8 Decades of Aboriginal Australian Bark Painting from Yirrkala. And now, I am happy to invite to the podium our colleague, our friend, Dr. Margot Smith, Director of the Kluge-Ruhe Aboriginal Art Collection at the University of Virginia. Margot.
Thank you, John. I too would like to recognize the Abenaki people and the larger Wabanaki Confederacy and pay respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. It's such an honor to speak on behalf of Kluge-Ruhe and the University of Virginia to acknowledge all the hard work that went into this extraordinary exhibition, and I am actually quite overcome with emotion when everybody came in, so bear with me. So here we are. Maɗayin, Walchan got Walchanboy, Yolŋu, Minchi, Yirrkala. 8 Decades of Aboriginal Australian Bark Painting from Yirrkala. I just want to extend my thanks to John Stomberg, Jamie Powell, the exceptional staff of the Hood for this extraordinary opportunity to share the power and the beauty of Yolŋu art with all of you. They've taken such care with this project, honoring and sharing our desire to keep Yolŋu people at the very forefront of it as the best experts on their own art and culture. There's so many people to thank. Such a huge project would not be possible without an enormous team. So I'm going to run through them and I'm going to go quickly, hopefully. The 5 Yolŋu artists and knowledge holders who traveled such a long distance, really braving international travel in this day and age to be with us to open this exhibition in the Yolŋu way. Will Stubbs, the manager of Buku Larnge, who's just been an incredible partner and supporter of this project for many, many years and really made it possible. Our international curatorial team and group of experts, including Howard and Frances Morphy and Cade McDonald, and members of our team at UVA, Eleanor Newman, so many others, all the skilled vendors who helped to bring this beautiful presentation together and helped us to get the artworks here safely and display them safely, and Kluge-Rue's staff. And I hate to brag on my little staff, but they are the most hardworking, dedicated people that I have ever known. Curator Henry Scarrett, he did a few other things besides the things that he was just recognized for in John's talk in the last 6-7 years. He's been a tremendous asset to Kluge-Rue and the University of Virginia. And this project would just not have been possible without Henry. Yeah. And I will say quite proudly that he's now an assistant professor at the University of Virginia, and we are so excited about growing that program and really developing UVA as a center for learning about Indigenous art. Nicole Wade, who's our collections manager, and when you see how lovely these paintings look when the way they're installed, she is to credit for that, for the beautiful hanging system that she developed, which we're going to patent, by the way. And not only that, but really managing a huge team of people who took such care with the artworks. And to Lauren Maupin, who's our Director of Education and Programs, and she's been responsible for many things, including our educational framework and also the digital. She had a big part in helping with our digital Maɗayin presentation, which I hope you all will access online because it is quite something. Now, in addition to all of those people, oh, and excuse me, a few more people at UVA, our Vice Provost for the Arts, Jody Kilbasa, who has been an ardent supporter of Kluge-Rue and Indigenous artists. And also our wonderful advisory council led by Gilda Andrews and Jimmy Harris, and Jimmy's with us tonight. But in addition to all of those people, there are a number of sponsors that we also want to acknowledge, and I'm going to run through them. The National Endowment for the Humanities, the Australian Government Office for the Arts through the International Cultural Diplomacy Arts Fund, the Mellon Foundation, Art Museums Futures Fund, the Andy Warhol Foundation for the Visual Arts, Australia Council for the Arts, represented here by Francesca Cubillo, the Jefferson Trust, the National Endowment for the Arts, UVA Parents Fund, UVA Arts Council, UVA Department of Art, represented by Douglas Fordham, and the Vice Provost for the Arts. And then I flip it over. There's a few more. So in addition to all of those wonderful sponsors, many partners have really shepherded this project. Buku Larnge, of course, and the Hood, and the institutional lenders for the historic paintings. The University of Melbourne, represented by, I'm so sorry, Julie Banks. I knew something would happen. Art Gallery of New South Wales, National Gallery of Australia, Museum and Art Gallery of the Northern Territory, and Fondation Opal, represented by George Pettigene, and the Embassy of Australia, represented by Laura Nix, our private lenders, Margaret Levy and Robert Kaplan, and Jim Gilbert, and Crozier Fine Arts, represented here by Ted McLean. And lastly, I'd like to thank the donors who helped us acquire the newly commissioned paintings from Buku Larnge. And that list includes Beranger Primat, Jimmy and Marcy Harris, Shane and Odaria Finnemore, Terry Snowball and Michelle Monarchy, Terry Sykes and Bill Alexander, Jeffrey Hassel and Virginia Milson, Libby Kingdon and Michael Rao, the members of the Kluge-Ruhe Advisory Council, Kaki Brooks and George Beller, Martha Burton, Mark Sobel and Lisa Sandy, Ursula Sullivan and Joanna Strumpf, Rosalind Oxley and Tony Oxley, Vivian Anderson and Margaret Vaden, and I apologize if I've skipped anybody. I don't think I have. We also had substantial support from Christine Simpson-Stokes and Carrie Stokes to bring the Yolŋu delegation to each of the venues. Now, if you would like to join that list of champions, it's entirely possible. All you have to do is talk to me or Henry tonight, and we'll help you out. And you'll be on the next time we read that list, as well as on the labels. Our Maɗayin venue partners are American University Museum, the Kleefeld Contemporary Art Museum at California State Long Beach, the Fralin Museum of Art at the University of Virginia, and the Asia Society in New York. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce Australian Consul General in New York, Nick Greiner, former Premier of New South Wales and President of the Liberal Party of Australia from 2017 to 2020. From the moment he and his partner, Carolyn Fletcher, arrived for their post in the United States, they have assiduously championed Indigenous Australian art, befriending Steve Martin, supporting exhibitions like James Tyler from an Untouched Landscape at the George Eastman Museum in Rochester, New York, and at Kluge-Ruhe, and most importantly, for supporting Maɗayin. And one of the ways they did that is Nick figured out a way for the Australian government to assure our Australian lenders that they would be able to safely export the loans, even though the law in Australia prohibited that. So I would just say he is a man who seems to know every high-powered official in Australia, and he isn't afraid to pick up the phone and call in a favor, and for that we are exceedingly grateful. Please welcome Nick Greiner.
Thank you, Margot, John, Kenya. Firstly, thank you for the invitation for Carolyn and me to be here. I think this is one of the many cases where the contribution of governments is actually overstated, and where the champions, as Margot referred to them, are of course all sorts of people involved with Hood, with Kluge-Ruhe, the list of champions that Margot read out. But nevertheless, if you give a former politician a podium and a microphone, I will accept some responsibility on behalf of the Australian government and the various people who were acknowledged earlier. What I really wanted to say were just two things. Firstly, Australia, along with many other countries with significant First Nation populations, we've struggled to work out how best that relationship develops. We've struggled over the 230 or 40 years since white settlement began, and we continue to struggle with it. We now have a new government who is very determined not simply to lift the awareness of Indigenous art and culture, but is taking on some very real challenges in terms of constitutional recognition for the First Nations, taking on challenges in terms of truth-telling and treaty-making and so on. And the point I always like to make, and yes, Carolyn and I have been part of trying to help various Australian art and Australian Indigenous art causes, this isn't just about art. If one is serious about developing or acknowledging the importance of the first Australians and their culture, and if we're keen on having the broader community, the other 97%, understanding and acknowledging the importance and the standing of the Indigenous culture, then of course we need to improve the awareness and do things like this really monumental collection, which you're all about to see, and which we had a sneak preview of a minute ago, and we had a sneak preview of with Henry and Margot of some of the Kluge-Roos contributions a year or so ago down in Virginia. But my first point is this is important. Of course it's culturally important, of course it's visually and historically important, but from an Australian point of view, it's also a part, another part, of lifting the recognition, acknowledging the standing of the culture of our First People. The only other thing I really wanted to say was, yes, the Australian government has been involved from Djambawa Marawili's involvement 2015, I think, Margot, if I've got the date right, on an Australia Council artist in residency, and all the way through, including my small part in getting common sense to prevail amongst the bureaucracy in terms of the rules for exporting for things like this, various culturally significant events. So of course the Australian government, if you like, Team Australia, both the public sector and private sector, various private donors and supporters that Margot read out, it has been a Team Australia effort, and these things need to be, because at the end of the day, Australia is not the largest force in the United States, and to organise something like this with a long gestation period, and now with 2 or more years of going around the United States, is a very significant task. So could I just thank you for allowing the government, allowing us to be involved in this evening. I wish the collection and its travels all the very best, and I'm sure in time to come it will be looked back on as a really significant step forward in terms of the understanding of Australian Indigenous art in the United States. I think my other job is to throw to Marawili, to Djambawa Marawili, who I think in practice is the, you could say, the father. You know, they say success has 1,000 fathers. I'm sure this exhibition will have 1,000 fathers and mothers, and it won't be, there won't be anyone who takes responsibility for failure. But I do think Djambawa is effectively one of the principal fathers of the whole project. Would you please welcome?
Thank you. It is really a privilege for me to be here in America. I think to come and see your gentlemen here in this place. Not though that I really want to come and visit this place, but we came with some message that really, it is in our life and it is in our soul. We have to come and disobey and follow where our arts has meaningful patterns and designs came into this place. It had meaningful and it had Curatorial, its kinship, relationships with that point of view that we came up here to disobey this gallery. I think I should really think back to one of my brother-in-law that he came as an ambassador to this place to lead us to show this place. And I think Mr. Wannabe, I felt really honored while he's resting back there, but the voice and the vision and the message is here. Thank you for those who are honor of this place. I think it is really for us to meet together like this with love, peace, joy. I think it is really important. So that is, I gave a bit of a message through song lines and just to enter to this building. It is really important for us to show that we should respect, no matter our artists here, but the country we do respect and we follow the system and the law. People, indigenous people has powerful system back there in Annam Land all over the place. We have kinship, we have relationship, we have partnership, making it really, really a good life on this country while we're still breathing, while we're still walking, while we're still flying, while we're still visiting other countries. It is really important for us. So where we came here, it is not about confusing people. We didn't really confuse the system, but we were respecting to follow our artists here. So it had messages, it had stories, it had songline, it had kinship and the relationship. And this is where all the stories are here in this gallery now. So thank you very much for listening. Numawanga bolero. Manga. It's about starting to learn. Let's clap now.